you very much. Okay, guys, let's start. Welcome to our stream, our great guest, Luka Popov. Luka Popov is a friend of ours with the chess community, and probably in a moment he will introduce himself, and we will make the discussion about improvement, about the progress at chess, especially when you're an old. And we prepared a lot of questions, and I hope it will be very fruitful discussion. Hello, Luka. How are you?
Hi, Tom. Yeah, I'm great. Thanks. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for inviting me to your streaming.
Excellent. Thank you very much for accepting the invitation. We are pretty happy, and recently we're discussing some of the stuff related to improvement, because our small community that I am something like a leader try to help beginners, especially the players of the let's say caliber 1100 up to 16 or 70 and 1700 at Lichess Rapid. This is something like the estimation of our group, and we are interested at these things. And if you could introduce yourself, how you, let's say, appear in the chess world, chess community, what drove you into the chess, and all of this stuff, it would be great.
Yeah, sure. So I had an interest in chess as a kid. I never joined the club in my early years. So I learned to play chess, from my dad and other members of the family. I played with my friends and so on, but never seriously. I never seriously studied chess until I joined the university, and then it was I was like 20 years old or something when I joined the university chess club. But still, I didn't have any, work ethic in the sense that I was not reading books and train chess in any kind of systematic fashion. But I just joined the club because I liked, to play chess, and I played a few tournaments. It was mostly Blitz, some league and national league, and so forth. So it was like more than 15 years ago, and then I just stopped. Life happened. I graduated. I got my first job. I started my PhD studies. By the way, I'm a physicist. I have a PhD in theoretical physics. So I just quit chess. I just didn't play any chess for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was maybe not 2.5 years ago when I rediscovered chess. I mean, just by accident. It was. I think it was this World Chess Championship. This not this, but this the last one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the previous one, and I think I accidentally clicked on some Ben Feingold's video. I didn't even know who Magnus Carlsen was, so I was completely out of chess. I didn't know anything, and then I accidentally clicked on the video, and okay, I started to watch, and suddenly I was, as they say, I was bitten by the chess bug. So I started just for no apparent reason. I started to play chess again. So first I had some chess.com account, which was 15 years old. So I managed to log in there, and it looked at a little bit, when I looked at my old profile, it was a mess. So I wanted to create new account, and then I did it on Lichess. I just found out that Lichess exists. I didn't even know that everything was new for me in this time. So I opened Lichess account, and I was very afraid of playing a chess game. I was thinking, now if after 15 years, if I go on and play chess game, I will be crushed. I mean, my ego will be crushed, everything. So I decided to work on tactics. So I started Lichess Tactics Trainer,
Mm-hmm.
and I did tactics for like 2 or 3 months. So I didn't play any chess. I just did tactics just to remind myself, how some basic patterns. And then I started playing chess because I wanted to comment. There was some interesting topic on the forum. Lichess, and the Lichess doesn't allow you to write on the forum unless you have at least one game played.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to play one game just to be able to write on forum. I wanted to ask something, how do you improve in chess or something,
Mm-hmm.
and then I had to play one game. So, and then I started to play again, and my initial rating on Lichess was 1230, something like this. And well, then I just I became very interested in chess, and I decided to invest my academic approach which I have as a physicist, and I now work as an engineer. So I wanted to apply this approach to chess, and I wanted to see if, well, it was basically, it still is an experiment. So can an adult player who is, 1200 blitz on lichess, who never played chess seriously, can he achieve some improvement, some significant improvement? So I started, to play chess, and I started to read forums. I started to follow YouTube channels, and I basically my interest was in adult improvement. So I started to do research. I wanted to know if there are any adult improvers out there which I can connect to, and I found some, a few of them on lichess, and I started communicating with them. And I realized there is no really big community. I mean, it's not so easy to find the community of adult chess improvers. So I started my research. I started reading books. I devised some kind of training plan, and I wanted to take chess seriously and to improve. So I am not. I wasn't, and I'm still not interested in blitz, bullet blitz, this kind of stuff. I mean, this is fun, and I of course do it sometimes. But I'm interested in real chess, in over-the-board chess, in long games, played over the board with real opponents in real tournament, real competitions. So this was my primary interest, and then I started to take necessary steps to improve. And then at some point, I joined local club, and I met some players in real life. So one of the club colleagues told me once, well, you should run a YouTube channel. Like you know so much about adult improvement, maybe more than many of the people who are having YouTube channels and giving various advices. You know more than them. This is what he said, and he said, well, maybe you should run your own YouTube channel and just share your insights. So this is how it started, my YouTube career. So I started a YouTube channel. I called it Adult Chess Improver, which basically summarizes everything the channel is about. And I started recording videos, just sharing my experience and also my research. So these are two things I have to offer. I can offer my experience, which is maybe it's not too big. I mean, I play chess seriously for only 2.5 years. I played 4 tournaments, or 4 over-the-board tournaments in classical tournaments, and I play online. But yeah, that, and also I have research, and I have to say that I did achieve some improvement. So from 1200 lichess, I managed to come to 1800 lichess. I managed to reach 2000 rapid in lichess. So these are my achievements. And as for the FIDE rating, it's still low, but it's still provisional. So I didn't play enough games to have established FIDE rating.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for this very nice and very thorough presentation. And now I have some questions, because previously we were discussing about the improvement, about the difficulties of the improvement, and all of the stuff. First of all, maybe the question that's a little bit not central into the adult chess improvement, but it probably may be pretty interesting to our viewers as well. What about your background and physics, and how does it relate into the, let's say, acquiring the knowledge? Do you feel some impression that you probably process the data better, more efficiently? You said that you made some kind of research. What about that? Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I think my background was beneficial in several ways. So first, like you said, doing research. So I worked as a theoretical physicist and as a science associate for like 10 years. So I know how to read literature, how to go through literature, how to recognize when I read an article, is this based in some kind of research, some kind of science, some kind of data, or it's just made up, and so on. So I think my academic background allowed me to quickly make conclusions and to do research. And also I'm a quick reader. I can read many books very quickly, articles and so on. So I think this part was beneficial. And also, as the game of chess, when it comes to game of chess, it's problem solving. So I look at chess as every position, every move is a problem you need to solve. So it's very, it's the same mentality when you do mathematics or physics or engineering. You have a problem, you need to solve the problem. So the method of problem solving, I think, is different. It's a similar approach for all these different types of things. So you need to, analyze the system. You need to, for example, in physics, you need to analyze the system. You need to notice key features of the system. You need to find which, problem do you want to address in the system, and then you need to solve it, and so on. So I think this mentality helps. And also there is another parallel with physics. So in physics, there is always this, theory and problem solving, like two different areas. So, for example, you can, if you are interested in, quantum physics, you can take a textbook and you can read about quantum physics, and it's very interesting. It's very, enlightening experience. You are reading about this physics. You have equations, and the text explains how you get from one equation to another, and it's very nice. It's very it's a nice experience to read about quantum physics and to understand it by reading the textbook. But then it's completely other story. Then you read the chapter, for example, in quantum physics, and then in the end of the chapter you have like problems, and then problem number one, and then they give you some problem you need to solve, and then you realize, oh, I don't know anything. So all this beautiful experience by reading the chapter is suddenly dispersed when you have to actually solve the problem which is in front of you. Apply the knowledge you have read, and also be creative and create something new. So this is very similar in chess. So reading a good chess book is really gives you really a real pleasure and enjoyment if you love chess, and it's really great. So you read books, especially books which are well written. You sit over the board, you move the pieces, you read the explanations. Explanations are beautiful, ideas are beautiful, games are beautiful. Everything is nice, everything is great, and you are very happy, and you think that okay, now I have learned a lot, and it's beautiful. And then on the end of the chapter there is a problem, and then they give you position and you need to solve it, and then it's, oh my god, you don't know from where to start. So these are two aspects, and you need both aspects, like in physics, so in chess. So this is what I call in chess, knowledge versus skill. So you need both things. So you need to read books, you need to go through annotated games, you need to acquire knowledge, but then in order to get skill, you need to do problem solving, and this is the part when you get headaches, because problem solving is difficult. It's not pleasant, it's not easy. You need to force yourself to think, and we as a human beings, as any physical system, it likes the state of least energy. So we are lazy by nature. So it's not easy to force yourself to think, and especially especially when there is no immediate benefit from it. So if you are playing a chess game, you want to win, you are motivated, then you will force yourself to think because you want to win and you don't want to lose. But when you train at home in your room and you need to solve the problem and think about it, and it's difficult, this is the hard part.
Yeah, excellent. This is one of the most impressive, let's say, fragments of chess and physics I have ever heard, and I am super happy that it was live. It was live. That's why it's even more impressive. And maybe let's go into the adult chess improvement, because now probably we can get it a little bit more deeper. And I have such, let's say, questions, some like connecting to each other about the adult chess improvement. From your research, from your experience, from your all of the data that you, let's say, processed and some like draw conclusions, do you think that adult improvement is possible, or is quite hard, or is impossible? And in the meantime, what are the challenges? How much different is that from the so-called traditional improvement by children and teenagers? And maybe after that, we will be talking about some kind of more or less way efficient methods of improvement. What do you think about it?
Okay, so first of all, is it possible? I think it is. I mean, I can empirically confirm that it is possible because I'm the example. So I improved from 1200 to 1800 blitz on lichess. This is the only metric I have now, and also from rapid. I think my lowest rating was 1600, and now it's okay, it's 1900, but the peak was 2000. So I managed to increase, 400 rating points in rapid and 600 rating points in lichess in course of 2 years. So in blitz, I mean, okay. So it's possible. Obviously, it's possible. It requires some hard work, but I think it could be done. But there are also, there are several plateaus you need to face. So I think the first plateau is when you hit your, I call this natural talent limit. So for example, if you start playing chess around like 1200, then just by playing chess, just by being exposed to playing chess, you will just based on your talent. So just based on how your brain absorbs the patterns and your memory is engaged and all else, you will come to a certain plateau. So let's say it's different. I mean, everybody has different starting point. This is one thing, and everybody has different this first plateau. So let's say that somebody starts at 1200 and reaches this first plateau at 1600. So he did improve in 400 points, but this improvement was just due to exposure to chess. So no real work in terms of training, systematic work, reading books, increasing knowledge, and so on was engaged. And then the person comes to this plateau, and then he stays to this plateau, and this is the time you need to do extra. When you need a training plan, you need books, you need literature, you need to train tactics and so on. And this is a very, very individual. So, for example, I know people from the club who started playing chess. They just went to the first tournament and they immediately were 1800 rated in FIDE rating. So one such example is if you know Stepan Tomic, he has this famous YouTube channel, Hanging Pawn. Yeah. So he's the example. He was like 26, I believe. He came to a tournament. He played league. He played few games, and his rating never dropped below, I think, 1850 or something like this. So this was his starting point, 1800. Okay. Someone else has starting point 1100 or. It's just I cannot explain. It's just like this, and then you have this first plateau by which you can just come by playing, and then in order to break this plateau, you need to have training plan, and you need to start acquiring knowledge. So with me, I didn't wait to reach this plateau. I started to work basically from the day one. The first thing I did was tactics, and then I started reading books. So this was my experience. You asked me about the difference between
the children, teenagers, and adults, right? Especially this one, because most of the time this is the confusion.
Yeah. So the children, the brain of the children is completely different. So I think the best comparison is with the language. So, for example, when a kid, in order for a kid to learn a language, you just need to expose him to or her to language. So I know several examples. My friends who had kids who migrated to other countries, Denmark or I don't know, Switzerland or something, and you just send the kid to kindergarten, and after 6 months he speaks like a native. So the kid's brain is like a sponge, and if you expose them to something, they will just absorb it. So people who start playing as kids, they usually come to the rating something like 2100. They don't even know how. They don't know anything, any theory, any training, anything. So they just play chess. They watch other kids play chess. They play chess, and they come to 2100, and they don't know how. So and usually this is, it depends of country and so on. But usually once they reach 2000 and 2100, then some coach notice them and says, okay, I will now work with you, and then they start to work, and this come very naturally. They stop blundering very soon. While in my experience and also the research and other people's experience, adult players, when I say adult players, I mean late starters, so people who started like in their 30s or late 20s or 40s, 50s to play chess, they usually never stop blundering. adults can stop blundering only if they force themselves to, to actively ask themselves questions like, is my piece being attacked? Does this piece attack something? Does he have any checks, captures, and threats? So you have to do this.
More effort.
Yeah. And people and the kids, they just see the board, and they don't stop blundering, and they don't blunder anymore. And it was very interesting when I was reading the book written by Reti, this master of the chessboards, and he speaks about Capablanca and compares him with I think Akiba Rubinstein, and he says how Capablanca. His chess was like his native tongue. He learned the game as he was 4, and it was just natural to him. He didn't have to think about grammar, grammatical rules, anything. He was just natural player, and he very easily played the game. While, for example, Rubinstein, he was, we could say, late starter. I think he started to play game as he was 18 or 19 or something. He became a great player, but as Reti writes, the chess was never his mother tongue. So he blundered, although he was one of the top 10 players in the world. You can see in some very important games in the tournaments, he made blunders like rookie blunders. So it never, although he was a very strong player, the chess never became natural to him. He had to, be focused all the time, not to blunder, and at least as soon as his focus would, a little bit diminish, he would blunder something. So this is the struggle I think Rubinstein has had, and every adult chess improver since then.
Okay, thank you very much. And I am curious about the let's say goals that we can achieve based on the level that we started with, the level of the first plateau, the age that we start playing chess. And the question that I would like to ask you and try to listen to the answer is, how does anyone know what is the goal and how to set up this goal to be able to achieve it? Some like the goal that would be realistic, but something like ambitious, right? How can we know if the goal is good enough, too low, too high? Is that any, let's say, specific method, or maybe you discovered some kind of ways how to figure it out?
Okay, so usually they say there are 2 types of goal. You can be process oriented or you can be goal oriented. So I think if you are goal oriented in chess, in the sense that you say, okay, I want to reach this and this rating, FIDE rating by the end of the year or something, I don't think it's a good approach to have it as an adult improver, and I will explain why. But I think much better approach is to have a training plan and to say to yourself, okay, for example, if you have to set up some goal for the next 6 months, so your goal should be, I will solve, 1,000 mate in 2 puzzles from Polgar book. I will go through, 30 Elekine games. I will read this book and I will play 1 long game a week online, and these kind of goals. Because if you set your goals like to be goal oriented, it could be very frustrating because I'm sorry, just a second. I'll be back in a second.
If you guys have any questions, just put the Q before the question, because this way I can recognize it. And in the meantime, if the question would be good enough to put this immediately, I'll try to put that to my guest. And of course, there is a question that we can ask our guest. Okay, we can continue.
Okay, I'm sorry about this.
Okay,
so the problem with classical rating, if your goal is set to online rating, maybe it could be okay, but don't be too too ambitious. So if you want to see some improvement in the course of the year, it's okay, like 100 points or something. It's okay to have these kind of goals. But what is not recommended is to have the goals in terms of FIDE rating, because first of all, this is also the difference between adult and kids. So kids can afford to play many games. So if you are a kid and if you're in the chess club, and your chess club travels around before these restrictions and everything in normal times, so you travel around all the time and you play many games. So kids who are active in chess, they usually play 200, 300 games a year.
Mm-hmm.
As an adult, if you have a job, if you have a family, it's not doable. It's not affordable. It's expensive. First of all, kids usually have their club paying for travels. You have to pay it yourself, so it's expensive. They are not so frequent. It depends where you live, but usually the tournaments are not so frequent near you. So you have to travel. You have to pay for the accommodation, pay for the fee, pay for the traveling. You have to take days off from your job. You have to explain to your wife why are you going away for a week every now and then. So it's very difficult. So you cannot afford to play many games. So as an adult, maybe you can play 40 games, 50 games maximum.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this is even over ambitious. And then and this is the first problem. So your rating cannot be. It's not like online when you can sit and play 10 games. It's a small amount of games. So it's very likely that your performance and your strength will be higher than what your rating shows. This is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the second thing is the experience I have. I just recently had in this tournament. I went to Rabac. This is a village in Croatia. I played the tournament. I made several videos about my games there. So the problem is you are facing kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with kids is they are very often underrated, because kids they improve very fast. And now, especially with COVID now, it's incredible. So you face a kid who is like 1100 and he plays 2000 strength.
Wow.
And then you lose many points. So because if you lose against a kid who is 1100, then I, for example, 1600, then I lose 50 points in this one game, and the kid should be rated 2000. But he improved because there are many tournaments were cancelled in these last 2 years, and the kid played online. He played in the club. He worked with the coach, and his strength just went up. But even in the normal times where there are no restrictions, kids can between two tournaments they can increase, like in strength, 300 points without any problem if they play online and train. So when you face a kid, I face like a 9-year-old who is 1100. You don't know what to expect, and you can lose. You can very easily lose from this kind of opponents, and then you will lose many rating points. And this is not realistic because you are actually playing a high-rated opponent. So this is what is difficult when you are like 1600. You want to improve in rating, and you constantly, because this Swiss system and tournament systems are such that you are paired with these kids, and then it's very difficult to go far. But once you reach, for example, 1900 or 2000, then okay, you at least you are not
different group, right?
Into these kids, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is just how I mean, the tournaments I play in Croatia, they are all one group, but it's a Swiss system. So you get paired with kids if you are 15 to 1600. So to give myself a goal in terms of either rating would be masochistic. I mean, it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah.
So I just need to be patient and wait for my rating to catch up my strength. It will happen in 10 years maybe. If I could afford to play 300 games a year, maybe it would be sooner. But now it will be like in 10 years, and I don't care because I have my process-oriented goals.
Yeah, very good point. And maybe I will just add a little bit because a lot of players confuse some of the things that are dependent and not dependent of them, right? Probably because what I mean, for example, if you would be able to be, let's say, having the level of 2000, and you could choose the players, for example, with ELO rating, right? Not below 1600, then you could make some steady progress, right? But if it's something like independent on you, that you can be paired against 1800 and next round 1200 or 1100, the chess prodigy, as you just mentioned, right? Then it is a way more different story. And the same is, as you just mentioned, and if you have, for example, the goal that is absolutely oriented on specific numbers dependent on you, for example, analyzing 30 games, playing 50 games, solving 100 puzzles, right? It's absolutely dependent on you. Nothing can disturb it in this process. But if you're playing at the tournaments, it is something like that you are randomly paired against the players that you may want or you may don't want to play against them due to the rating inflations, right?
Yeah, exactly. And also because you, as an adult, you don't play so often, so you can be hit by bad luck. You can just you can have opponents which are this kind of prodigies or teenagers who are underrated. I mean, you can catch a cold, or you can have, for example, when I played this tournament before this in Sholta, I had this the beds in my apartment were bed and pillow were not very high quality, so I didn't have a good night's sleep because of the pillow. So it's trivial, but it means a lot when you don't sleep enough and then you come to the tournament and then you are tired, and my air condition didn't work very well. It was very hot, and so on. So all these factors can go in. And okay, if I play like 20, if I'm a kid who plays 20 tournaments a year, then I don't care if one tournament I have a bad pillow and okay, it was bad luck. But if you play only like 3 or 4 tournaments a year, then if you have a bad pillow
it is a
at one
catastrophe,
tournament,
right?
it just lowers your rating. So,
yeah.
But like you said, this is not something which depends on you. You cannot influence this.
You cannot control it, right?
You just need, you cannot control it. So you just need to be calm about it and say, okay, this is my situation, and I agree.
Yes, that would be a problem. And now let's go into some specific things, because if we just discussing about the things that it is pretty much difficult, what would be the easiest, but in the sense of acquiring the knowledge and maybe some kind of solid or sound fundamentals, right? Because if you are an adult and if you're just starting, let's say, training haphazardly, some like a random, probably this could not work in a long-term results. But if we have something like solid fundamentals, then probably it would be easier to progress and make some kind of serious achievement. What about some kind of fundamentals, maybe some kind of general chess knowledge? How could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so some general chess knowledge is you need to have, like you said, in order to, for all the other pieces of knowledge to fit in. So it's like, building a mosaic, and then you need to have some template, you need to have some foundation, and then you can build up. So there are several ways you can acquire basic chess knowledge. There are some very good books you can read, and also now in the time of YouTube, there are really remarkable amount of very, very high quality videos which are free. You can just turn on the YouTube and you can watch them.
Yeah.
So maybe I could recommend, for example, John Bartholomew. The classical.
Yeah.
On
Chess Fundamental series, right?
Chess Fundamental series. These 5 videos which are great, and then climbing the rating ladder by John Bartholomew, in which he plays the lower rated players and explains, these very fundamentals. So this is excellent. I mean, these are old videos, but they are really excellent, really good quality. The second one I would recommend is Chess Network, even older channel.
It is Jerry, right? Jerry from Chess Network.
Jerry, famous Jerry. Nobody knows who Jerry is. So Chess Network from Jerry. So he has this beginner to master series, 28 videos now, and he plans probably to
he expanded this list. Yes, correct.
So expanding, like so he this kind of videos, for example, or just watching him play Blitz as well. Then there is Andras Stott, who is excellent, chess coach Andras. So he has this series Amateur Mind, in which he discussed these main mistakes by amateurs. Maybe he's a little bit advanced compared to these two, but I mean, there are many others. I'm just mentioning some which come to my mind, of course. So but you need to start with like Chess Fundamentals by John Bartholomew, this climbing the rating ladder by John Bartholomew, and then maybe Chess Network, this beginner to master series, and then you will get a grasp about chess fundamentals. As for the books, I have some here I can recommend. So for example, this book, Simple Chess, I always recommend this book. It's a classic by Michael Steen. It's a small book. It has only 6 chapters or 7. Introduction and 6 chapters. It calls about main strategical elements. So just this basic outpost, weak pawns, open files, half open files, good and bad bishop, space, and so on. So, for example, this book is is very good for chess fundamentals. Even more, maybe this was not the right order. So even more elementary than this one is this Pandolfini. Pandolfini has several books. I like this one, Pandolfini's Ultimate Guide to Chess. It's written like in the dialogue between student and teacher.
Dialogue between students and the student. Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
I have it.
And he goes through basic chess. How to open the game, what the game is all about, some basic end game, some basic strategy. So this is nice book because this, for example, if you read simple chess, you need a board. You need to set up the board. You need to go. And this book you can read, just from your couch. Near the fireplace and from your bed, you can keep it on your bedside and you can just read it because it's
a lot of diagrams.
Yes, a lot of diagrams, correct. A lot of text. So this book, for example, is great to know the fundamentals. Then, of course, you have Chernev books. So, for example, I'll just show. This is the most instructive games of chess ever played. His most famous book is
Logical Chess by Move, right?
Yeah, I have this on Kindle, so I cannot show it. So this one and this one has an algebraic notation. So this logical chess move by move is excellent way to see how the chess game, from the beginning to end, explained. Every move is explained. Also, this one is also great, but it has this descriptive notation. So I recommend to learn this descriptive notation as well, because it will be useful for you, and once you get used to it, it's very intuitive. So I would say this one. So Chernev definitely. Then you want to go through some game collections. So I can recommend these two books here. This is first book of Morphy. It's a great book. It's a relatively new book. It's already famous. It's written by a chess coach who is not so high rated. I think this Francisco de Rosario is like 1700. So not a title player, but a very good teacher. And he explains. He goes through these Pandolfini rules. So there are like 10 rules from the opening, 10 rules of the middle game, and 10 rules of the end game. So in the opening, for example, the rules are open with center pawn, develop with threats, develop knights before bishops, and so on. So also in the middle game, he gives 10 rules, and in the end game. These rules were composed by Pandolfini, and then he took games of Morphy in order to demonstrate these rules. So for every move, he gives, for every rule, he gives several games by Morphy, which demonstrate. And, as somebody who wants to learn how to play correct chess, I think Morphy is a great place to start. And then also, so this is like a game collection, similar like Chernev. So I already mentioned this book by Richard Reti, Masters of the Chessboard. It's also an old classic. It covers the games of the masters in the Richard Reti times. So this is the 1930s. So he goes from, Andersen, Morphy, Steinitz, Tarrasch, Lasker, Schlechter, Pillsbury,
all of the masters.
All of the masters, Vidmar, Tartakover, Capablanca, Bogolyubov, Alekhine, and so on. So and he explains lots of strategies. So this is a great book for start. And I have to recommend one more book, which I think is maybe the best chess book ever written, and this is Soviet Chess Primer.
The classic.
This is this is a big book, and this is the book written in the 30s. It has the foreword by Emanuel Lasker, and generations and generations of Soviet players learned to play chess using this book. And this book also starts. It starts with the rules of chess. It's very basic: mate, what is stalemate, and then it goes on forward. And I think this is excellent book. In fact, I can announce here that I will be starting one series. It will be called the Soviet School of Chess.
Wow!
And I will mostly be based on the examples from this book.
Great
because
news.
It's a very thick book, and people today are maybe a little bit lazy to read the books. So I want to make this book available to the wider audience via YouTube. So this series will be coming very soon, and this will also be the opportunity for people to to grasp the basic elements of chess.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. That's super, let's say, cohesive part, and I'm really grateful because you're just providing a lot of great insights, a lot of information, and in the meantime, maybe I'll just let other viewers know about it, that I am following your channel for about 1 hour. Sorry, not 1 hour, 1 year. 1 year, because I am pretty much, let's say, interested about your approach. And first of all, I was pretty much skeptical because, of course, it was not because you were not title player, because it's not a problem. But your, let's say, videos were much to the point, something like the essence. And I was something like, this guy is even copying from the other sources, or this guy is pretty much very much dedicated, and in the meantime gave some kind of, let's say, excerpt of all of the, let's say, best ideas. And the more I watch you, the more I really enjoy it, and the more I appreciate how much work you need to make this happen. Because take notice that I have been a lot of about the reading the articles, all of this stuff, because I have been in the chess community for 25 years, and in the meantime I have been, let's say, researching all of this stuff as well. And the more you put the videos, something like not just the game analysis, but the different kinds, something like ultimate thinking algorithm and all of this stuff, I am super impressed, and I'm not kidding. I am very much impressed about the quality of your videos, but in the sense of ideas and the very cohesive form. It is pretty much something like very straightforward, and that's why I'm really, let's say, grateful for that, and I'm happy that we have access for that.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, this is one of my characteristics when I was in academia, and also when I was here in Croatia writing some kind of articles, essays. I wrote one book and so on in Croatia. But it's always many people told me what you just tell me, that I go straight to the point.
Yeah,
I give essence,
excellent.
which is sometimes not good. You know, when you say, for example, I research one topic outside of chess. It was the relation between religion and science or something. Yeah. And I did the research like 10 years. I researched the topic, and then finally I wrote the book, and the publisher was right. Oh, great! It will be a great book. And it came out to be a 60-page book. And he was like, what, only 60 pages? I mean, he was expecting, 500 pages book. But I said, yeah, these are my conclusions. Everything other than these 60 pages would just be repeating what other people
it's pointless, right?
They're saying. So, yeah, it's pointless. So my own thoughts, my own conclusions, I mean, this is it, yeah. So publishers, and editors, they usually don't like it. They want to have the material, but I think this is also one kind of professional deformation, because when you do physics, you have the equation, you have a simple solution, and it goes equation, problem, a description, equation, solution, conclusion. Not much
not much room for the noise, right? Not much room for the noise.
Exactly.
Yes, excellent point.
I guess this is just my approach to everything. So
yeah, well. Yeah, and believe me, my friend, that your videos are really high quality, even if you're not super popular, because probably you're not having the, let's say, marketing, all of the stuff. But your videos are one of the best. And in the meantime, because maybe I'll just reveal the secret, I just share some of your videos on my channel. Some like I just recommended you, because I told my audience that your videos are. I use something like a phrase that your videos are too good not to be watched. You know what I mean? Okay. Something like super, let's say, interesting and to the point. And let's get into the topic about, let's say, the stuff, because you're the scientist, and at the same time you're the, let's say, passionate guy. If we can say amateur, but in the sense of not having the title, right? Not amateur in the sense of the approach to the subject, but without the title. You're super passionate.
Yeah, not a professional.
Yeah, not professional, maybe, right? It would be better. And this, at the same time, I'm interested about it because we have one of our friends in the channel that he's super interested in the, let's say, physics, in the chess and all of the relationship, and he's passionate about patterns and about pattern recognition. How can you, let's say, put this point into the highlight about the chess and all of the stuff related to the memory, pattern recognition, visualization? How about that? Let's talk about it.
Okay, so first of all, there's some very interesting research which was done, scanning the brain of the chess players while grandmasters while they play chess game, and then the interesting result was that while they play the chess game, the most active part of the brain is the brain which is for memory. So when a grandmaster play the game, most of the time they are trying to remember something. So of course there is this creative part, there is this logical thinking, but this memory part seems to be the most active during the chess game when masters play. So this tells you that while you play the chess game, the brain tries to find the pattern it remembers. So the pattern, the brain tries to remember similar patterns, and then by this memory, the brain gives you ideas and basically subconsciously suggests you the best moves. And there are several. I mean, the Groot is the first one. There are many other so many other authors and some interviews. For example, there was an interview with Magnus Carlsen, and they asked him, "How do you come up with moves?" And his answer was like, move just pops to my head. And they were like, okay, so what are you doing thinking like 40 minutes on a move? He said, oh, I'm just checking. If there is something better, maybe. So the best move just comes to his head. And then, okay, he thinks because he's calculating, he doesn't want to rely solely on the intuition, but most of the time he plays the move which pops in
something like naturally, right?
Naturally, yeah. So this is because he saw this pattern, this position before, and his brain remembers this, and the brain just suggests the move. So this is why this pattern recognition is very important, especially when it comes to tactics, because chess is too complicated game. When you have many pieces, many different interactions, and if you don't have a good pattern database, you will most likely miss many tactical opportunities. So I mean, when I talk about patterns, there are of course tactical patterns, but also positional patterns. But now, as an amateur, I'm and adult improver and late starter and so on, I mainly focus on the tactical patterns. So you need to somehow carve these patterns in your brain, and you need to store them somehow in the long-term memory. This is the challenge, and this is also different between kids and adults. So when kids play chess, you show them some, smothered mate, and you show them once, and they immediately,
ingrained it into memory.
Yeah, because their neurons are forming as they learn it, and then it's immediately in the long-term memory, and they know it for good. Andras Stott had one very interesting video in which he talked about, this pattern, I saw this once as a kid from an old Hungarian book. So it was some cross pin pattern, and he said, and I immediately, when I saw this 30 years ago in the game, I immediately remembered, oh, this is cross pin. So this is how children may. Okay, with adults, it's not like this. So I read some research which says that adults can achieve this. So you can carve patterns in your memory, but you need to do repetitions. So you need to do 10 times. So if the kid has to do it once, he sees, and this is it, you need to do this 10 times. And this is where Chessable, for example, they have some good science behind their approach. So this space repetition by Chessable is designed to do exactly that. So the repetitions come. So the first repetition comes like after 4 hours, then after 12 hours, then after 2 days, after a week, and so on.
It is so-called time intervals, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Time intervals, right? The time intervals are such that as soon as you start forgetting, you repeat, and then you will you start forgetting, and then you repeat, and then when you do this 10 times, you will hopefully have it in the long-term memory. Of course, there are other attempts before Chessable. I think Chessable is more advanced. The old technique was this woodpecker, which was proposed by Michael Della Maza before, and Alex Smith, and all these people before. So the idea was to take a set of puzzles and just to do them over and over again in cycles, these 7 cycles.
7 circles.
And, 7 circles, And so these are the same ideas. So for adult improver. And this is what I did. So I took Chessable course. I took this Benedictine. Benedictine is the author, and it's Common Chess Patterns. And it has like 800 puzzles sorted by the team. So you have like forks, knight moves, pins, and so on. And then I did space repetition, and I did it for like 5 or 6 months. I did nothing but that. So
Mm-hmm.
Every time I got space repetition, I did it. So I
Okay.
was following very diligently this chessable, and it helped me a lot to recognize these patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And there are other courses on chessable. There is this free course. I mean, Benedictine course is not expensive, but there is a free course, Alan B. He has like piece on the attack. So it's like knight on the attack, bishop on the attack, rook on the attack, queen on the attack. So there he has like 6 courses. They're all free, and you can do space repetition with them as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for a tactical pattern recognition database building, this is the best resource that there is at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And then afterwards, you need to practice calculation. So it's a different thing. So one thing is pattern recognition, and another thing is calculation. So in order to practice calculation, you need little bit more difficult puzzles. So I think humanly composed puzzles are better than engine composed puzzles, but in the end it doesn't make such a difference. So I prefer puzzles from the book, which are composed by the experienced coaches, because every puzzle has some kind of purpose, some kind of lesson behind.
And reasonable puzzles, not something like a very random ones, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're selected by the experienced coaches. But also I think if you go on Lichess or chess.com or Chess Tempo, the older site, and you can just practice calculation. You can just solve the puzzles, and it's a different approach. So if you want, I think this logos are National Master. He once says that you learn the pattern when you can solve the puzzle within 7 seconds. Because if you solve this within 7 seconds, then it means that
it is long-term memory, right?
You're solving from memory. You're not calculating. If it takes more than 7 seconds, you're calculating. So my goal was to go through Benedictine course. I think I could solve every puzzle within 7 seconds, and it took me 6 months to do this.
And by the way, 6 months, how many hours a day you just practice that?
Whenever chessable,
but approximately, was it something like half an hour, 1 hour a day? Because of course the period was 6 months. That's you just let's say finish this course, right?
Yeah, I would say 1 hour. Say 1 hour.
Okay, got it.
Some days more, some days less, but let's say 1 hour. And and then but when you do practicing calculation, it's whole different mentality. So you need to take your time, and you need to calculate. You need to check all lines. You need to double check. You need to be sure, to be sure to see whole variation. So the temptation when you're solving puzzles from chess.com or Lichess is that you just try to guess the move.
Yeah, clicking.
And, play the first move, which seems okay, and then play with the engine the end of the variation. So you need to restrain yourself from that and just try to, think about.
Like you'll be playing in a practical conditions, right? The same style.
Yeah. And then play the move, and you should take as much time as you need. So it's not important when you're practicing calculation. It's not important to solve it quickly, but to solve it accurately. And of course, the old way, which still works, but we are now too lazy to do this, is to take the book, to take the board, to put the position on the board, and then to take the notebook and the pen, and just without moving the pieces, write down all the
old-fashioned style, right?
Everything, yeah. And
old-fashioned.
I mean, this is still the best way, I think. But I mean, there are certainly limitations. Many people don't have even today. They don't have physical space, to put the board, the book, and the notebook. And okay, the computers are here. They are not bad. So if you can restrain yourself from just
from guessing,
playing first move or guessing the move, or just play with the mouse before you think the whole variation. If you can restrain yourself not to do this, then the computers are fine. I personally have problem restraining myself. So I realize when I, for example, go and solve puzzles on Lichess, I do this diligently, 1, 2, puzzle 3 maybe, and then the already 4th puzzle I start guessing moves. So
too much temptation.
So my method of doing tactics is mostly this old-fashioned way. So
from
I take
the
book, I take a board, I put the pieces, I have a notebook, I have a pen, I write down the variations, and then I check my solutions with compare with the book solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's much slower. So in the time in which I solve maybe 3 puzzles or 4 puzzles on lichess, I solve only 1 puzzle this way. But I think it's not about quantity; it's about quality. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter if I solve less puzzles if I do them more correctly, more diligently.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And I am interested because there are another interesting parts. We'll be talking about the patterns and all of this stuff in a moment. We'll go into the visualization as well. But I am interested because you are the scientist, and that's very important at this point. How could you see, as the scientist, especially the scientist and the non-professional player, but very dedicated one, how can you see the relationship between the patterns, between the memory, and between the chunks? Because chunks are probably one of the interesting parts as well. And how could you define chunks and the relationship between all of that? How much chunks and patterns are important into the, let's say, speeding up the process of understanding and maybe calculating the positions, and how much they impact the decisions over the board? What about that?
Okay, so I would say these chunks. This theory of chunks says that everything you learn by picking up different chunks of knowledge, and then you apply them at the right time when something similar happens. So I think building the database in your head of chunks is what you are doing this no matter what you are doing in chess. So I think this is just how our brain works. I mean, I'm not a neuroscientist,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm amateur in this area, but
Yeah.
I have read a few research articles, and so I think whenever you are exposed to chess, even if this is just passive exposure, like watching a video or reading a book or going through a game or analyzing your own game or anything, we can talk about analyzing your own game.
Mm-hmm.
Games later is a very special chapter.
Yeah.
But whatever you do, I believe that your brain is building up chunks of knowledge. So this doesn't apply only to tactics. It applies to every aspect of the game. Middle game, pawn breaks, all kind of decisions. So this is just exposure to the chess is very important. So
Mm-hmm.
every kind of exposure to chess is good. So some people say, oh, watching video is a passive thing to do. And yes, reading book actively, trying to guess the move when you go through master games is certainly better. But all exposure is good. If you listen this Perpetual Chess podcast, they have several adult improvers,
Yeah.
and this younger generation, let's say younger than me at least,
Mm-hmm.
they mostly don't read books. They get all their knowledge from watching videos, and it also works.
Yeah.
Works on them because they get chunks like this. And well, speaking about this, just when you devise your training plan and you want to spend time on chess, you also can notice that you cannot spend much time on, for example, very active learning. So if you are practicing tactics or calculation, I personally cannot do it more than 30-40 minutes. So if I do tactics, I'm currently doing tactics by following Polgar book. I'm doing mates in 2 in this old-fashioned way. And I see that after 30 or 40 minutes, I just cannot do it anymore, especially if I had a daily job and everything.
Yeah.
So, for example, but it happens that, okay, I cannot do it. I see that I cannot think clearly. I'm trying to guess the move and so on. So it's time to stop doing tactics. But I still have, I have time. I have will to do some chess. So you can do stuff which are more not so active. So, for example, going through master games, just reading the annotations and going through master games with the book and the board, it's a very relaxing thing to do. You can do this even if you are tired. It doesn't require much intellectual effort. You can just read the book, play the moves, and enjoy the aesthetics of the game, and your brain will still pick up some chunks. Yeah. And also, I have the habit of in the evening. Once the kids finally get to sleep, and I have some quiet moments late in the evening. Then, I'm too tired to read. I'm too tired to even to sit at the board because I usually have long days. So what I do, I just watch some YouTube videos, maybe 15-20 minutes, and this helped a lot. I mean, it's completely passive learning. I'm tired, it's evening, but still my brain,
Yes.
builds the mosaic. So
Okay.
I think my conclusion is that every exposure to chess is good, and I think the chunk theory explains why is this so.
Excellent. And now I would like to ask you about the specific part that everybody starts with, and it is something like a painful experience, because all of us, when we start, especially when we are adult, we are starting chess with something like problems related to mistakes that are called blunders, something like horrible blunders, right? Do you have any methods? Do you have any ways how to get rid of that as quickly as possible, and maybe how to limit that, because probably it is may not be possible to get rid of it completely, at least in a short period of time, but maybe how to, let's say, make it less painful, and maybe some kind of methods of ways how to make such a big blunder, maybe some kind of small positional mistakes, but not a horrible blunders that collapse the game automatically. What about blunders?
Okay, so the blunders is the biggest problem of every chess adult improver. So I communicated with many improvers who gave up chess after 2 or 3 years because they just couldn't stop blundering, and they get very frustrated because of this, because they invested a great amount of time, reading books, watching videos, practicing everything, and their knowledge is really big. So if you compare their knowledge with the knowledge of some kid on the tournament, it's incomparable. And despite having all this knowledge and everything, they still lose games because of the blunders.
Yeah.
And this is the problem I face. This is the problem many adult improver faces. And it's very difficult, in my experience, to find the information how to stop blundering, because if you watch. If you ask title players, so like I said, the kids, they come to 20, 100, 2100, 2200, they don't even know how, and they stop blundering when they're 8 or 9 years old. So if you ask a coach who is international master or grandmaster, how to stop blundering, he will not be able to tell you, because he doesn't know, he doesn't remember on his own experience. So he can be a great coach, but he stopped blundering when he was 8 years old, and he doesn't know how. He just played chess. And then he'll just say, "Oh, be focused," or just do tactics, improve your visualization, improve your pattern recognition. And these are all good advices. I mean, good pattern recognition will
help you
decrease your probability of blunder. Also, all other exercises. But they in my experience, they just go through it too easily. And for example, one YouTube grandmaster which I enjoy very much watching is Grandmaster Jesse Cry. He's excellent. His analyses are really excellent. I recommend them. They are a little bit maybe advanced, but they are excellent when he analyzes the games of other players. But he also has this approach. So he analyzes the game, and he gives great advices, great analysis. Positional pawn play pieces. This piece should be activated. This piece is badly placed, and they are great advices. And then when the player blunders, he just said, "Oh," and then he blunders. He just switches to the next game. So he doesn't stop on okay, he blundered. Let's see why did he blunder?
What is the reason?
What is the reason, and what can we learn from this blunder? What lesson can he take from this blunder, not to blunder again, and so on. So he just doesn't do this because, oh yeah, he blundered. Because in his experience, as he remembers this as he was kid, you blunder, and then just some point you stop blundering and everything is fine. And with adults, it doesn't work that way. So this is why I made this video, how to learn from your blunders. And I got many responses, private messages after this video, people telling me nobody has done this before, just focusing how to learn from your blunders. So whenever you blunder, when you analyze your games, you have to analyze your games. This is the only way you can stop repeating the same mistakes always. So you need to, when you analyze your games, alone with the coach, with the help of the engine, with the help of the book, it doesn't matter. You need to analyze your game. You need to understand at what point did you make a mistake? Why did you make a mistake? And what can you do not to make the mistake again?
Yeah.
So this is the whole point of analyzing your games. And this goes for the blunders as well. So maybe for amateur players, maybe even more for the blunders than for anything else. Because if you do some slight positional mistake, it's interesting, it's nice to understand, and to get some lesson from it. But your main problem is not making tiny positional mistakes. Usually the games are not decided by the tiny positional mistakes, by the big blunders. So when you blundered, okay, this is the way to stop. So why did I blunder? Why didn't I see that my rook is hanging? And then you need to ask yourself, you need to remember how were you thinking about the game. And usually this is because you didn't do...
You didn't pay attention, maybe this way?
Yeah. You didn't pay attention, and you didn't do this. There is you have to have, as an adult, you have to have some kind of to-do list. It doesn't have to be a long to-do list, but you do need some small to-do list how to do blunder check. So, and this is the video I made recently. This algorithm, I call this chess thinking
the
algorithm.
ultimate algorithm, so, right?
Yeah, the ultimate algorithm, because I think from my experience, from my tournament experience, mostly, these are the questions list of questions you have to ask yourself. So, for example, you have to see if you move the piece, can your piece be captured or harassed? You need to ask yourself that. Whenever your opponent moves a piece, you need to ask yourself, does this piece attack something? I have just blundered the bishop in the tournament. My opponent moved the rook, attacking my bishop, and then see my bishop was attacked because I was so focused on the one great move I had, one great plan I had. I was so focused on this that once he moved the rook, I was only asking myself, okay, does this rook somehow interact with my great plan? It doesn't, so I will just go with my plan. And there are some basic questions. Does this piece attack something? Yes, it does. It attacks my bishop, and my bishop is undefended. I have to address this problem. So I think this is a kind of, and then this is my video how to learn from your blunders. I'm giving 12 examples from my own games. Most of them are played over the board. So games in which I had plenty of time. I almost never have problems with time trouble in the long games. So time is never the problem with me. So I had enough time. I had winning position, and I blundered something because I didn't. So why did I blunder?
You didn't ask the specific questions, right?
Yeah, I didn't ask this specific question, and I think you should have a to-do list, but it has to be short. Up to 3 questions. There are some books which I can which I generally recommend. For example, let me just find it. So, for example, this one, 6 power moves of chess. It's also written by a non-title player, and it says it has some great points. I really recommend this book. I don't want to say that this book is not good. It's a good book. It talks about 6 most powerful move of chess, and introduces the concept of calculating 2 moves deep. So don't just look what check do I have, but what check in 2 do I have, or what can my
a little bit farther, right?
Capture 2 pieces, capture my piece, or give me a check in 2 moves. So some very interesting moments, some very interesting analysis. But and he gives one to-do list. So he gives a list of questions which he says you should ask yourself before each move. And this is a list of 28 questions. So it's not really realistic. I mean, okay, he says you do most of them subconsciously and so on. But with adult improvement, I mean, relying on subconscious is not something you want to do. And 28 questions is too, I mean, it's just too much. You cannot ask yourself 28 questions in the tournament. Maybe you can do if you play correspondence chess, but in the tournament conditions, no way. So you need to have a to-do list. You can have short to-do list. I can share. I have this PDF of
presentation.
summary from my presentations. I can even send you PDF, so you can maybe put it. I don't know if you can put it in the chat, so
I can give you the permission. Give me a second. I'll give you permission, and probably you will be given.
I think I can just send you a PDF.
Okay, if you can send it to this.
I will send you a PDF here in chat.
Okay. Okay, I'll
just a moment.
No problem.
Just algorithm PDF. Okay, here it is. You should have it in.
Yeah, so got it.
We have it in chat. Yeah. So you can attach it maybe to chat or something.
Okay.
I put it on the few Discord servers. So yeah. So I mean, these are some kind of questions, and you need to be disciplined and not get too excited about your own plans. I think the biggest mistake. I also make a video how to stop blundering. And they gave example, so focusing on your own plans, your own ideas, and not looking at your opponent's ideas. And paradoxically, it's much more important to be aware of your opponent's plans and ideas than of your own, because if you miss your own opportunity, it doesn't matter. The game goes on. So, for example, you had this great move which wins your opponent's queen, and you miss this move. Yeah. Well, nothing happens. Game goes on. It's too bad. You could have won on the spot, but you didn't. But the game goes on. But on the other hand, if you miss your opponent's opportunity to win your queen, and he wins your queen, the game is over. So it's much important to be aware of your opponent's plans than your own. And adult players in general are more focused on their own plans, and this is also the source of the blunders. So I made a video about this as well.
Okay. And I would like to ask you, because I cannot attach it at the moment, but after the stream is over, I will be just showing to the audience. Is it okay? I'll just explain all of the stuff, because this way I will not prolong our session. And in the meantime, I would like to ask you about the things related to something like the ways how to maximize our results when we are the adults, right? Because if we are the kids, as you just mentioned, we have a lot of times, a lot of resources, all of this stuff. What are the ways and the methods we can maximize our performance and our results in, let's say, not too long period of time? Because just you probably know this guy Neil Bruce, that he's something like plan of 10 years, right? And probably not most of us probably can have such a long, let's say, and long-term plan, and probably most of us can make some kind of steady effort in the range of 2 or 3 years. What would you recommend to make it something like much more something like efficient ways to study chess and enjoy chess and have something like get into the highest possible, but realistically, let's say, being able to achieve level? What about that?
Yeah, I think when it comes to adults, the time management is the issue. I don't mean clock during the game, but generally your time in life. So your time is your most precious resource. Most adult players have daily jobs, they have families, they have other obligations. So first of all, you need to stop wasting time on the. I mean, if you want to improve, if this is your goal, it doesn't have to be your goal. You can play chess just for the enjoyment. It's completely fine. In fact, I even envy people who can do this. I cannot be satisfied in just playing chess without improving. Yeah. So if your goal is the improvement, then you should just stop wasting time on activities which doesn't contribute to the improvement. So, for example, playing lots of bullet, playing lots of blitz, watching YouTube channels and streamers which I mean, which are more for fun, you know, for some kind of adrenaline, for some kind of joke, and so on. So if you do this, if your goal is an improvement, you're probably wasting your time. So I think the art of allocating your time well is crucial. So in order, for example, if you play chess, so try to play longer games, try to play rapid. At least rapid, but for example, one longer game a week would be a great thing to do. So you can join this, for example, Leech's 45 league. Yeah. They have lone wolf section, they have team league section. So I mean, there are probably others. I use that one. So play one long game a week, and if you play rapid games, don't play rapid games when you are distracted. And this is what I have done many times. First of all, you will fall in rating like I did, and then you'll be frustrated. And second of all, it's again waste of time. So if you know you have like 15 minutes, I have to pick up my kids, so I have like 15 minutes. Oh, let's play one rapid game, and I will also listen something in the background. I mean, it's just waste of time. So don't do this. So if you play a rapid game, make sure that you are focused, that you can be undistracted, and you can play the game. If you cannot achieve this, then don't play rapid game. If you have like 10 minutes and you want to spend it on chess, go on and solve one puzzle on lichess.org, one or two puzzles. Also, what I see with adults, it's for example for me with many other obligations, it's very hard to allocate a huge chunk of time. So I have small chunks of time during the day. It's very difficult for me to have like an hour and a half, and now I have 1 hour and a half, and I will do chess. It's most likely I have 15 minutes here, 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, and then I have to do chess in these chunks. So the worst thing you can do, and which I did many times, it's okay. I have 10 minutes. I will just play few blitz games, and I will not even analyze them later because I don't have time, or I'll just play some bullet and something. So even if you have only 5 minutes or 10 minutes, you can spend this time doing quality stuff. For example, solve just one puzzle on lichess.org. It's better than playing a blitz game, which you will not analyze later on. So same goes with books, same goes with YouTube channels, with everything. So choose quality channels, channels which are directed towards improvement, channels who gives advice to beginners. For example, I just remember Daniel Naroditsky. He has this his speed run, for example.
Yes, the series.
It's a guided series. Yeah, it's aimed to beginners, to improvers. So this kind of content is good for you, and this is how you will maximize your result. So I think this is the way. And also, don't if you are doing this process-oriented approach. I read it. I was reading about this in I think Agard. Yeah, Agard has this book called. Is this about thinking? This fifth book in the series.
Thinking outside the box.
Inside the box. Yeah, think inside the box. Yeah.
Okay.
Thinking inside. Yeah, and then and he says that if you are process-oriented, but you give yourself too much, then you will get again be frustrated. So, for example, if you can do half an hour tactics a day, it's great. But if you cannot do this, don't put this goal. Put your goal 15 minutes tactics a day, and then do this 15 minutes. And if you can do more, do more. If not, you will be satisfied because you have completed your goal. So this is also one kind of advice. So, for example, when I started doing Polgar books, I wanted to do 1 hour a day, and then I saw I cannot do this, and then I was frustrated. By the end of the week, I didn't complete my goals and so on. So I said, okay, I will do 15 minutes. And if I can do more, I will do more. Great, but 15 minutes I can do, and I do 15 minutes, and then I go to bed happy because I know I did my
at least something.
What I was supposed to do. I have achieved the goal, so it's a good feeling.
And in the meantime, I'll just add that this idea is pretty much very much intensified in the book of the Atomic Habits. I'm not sure if you have read it, because Neil Bruce just mentioned that Atomic Habits is the same idea, that no matter how much you do, it is you should do that and be satisfied with that, right? Because sometimes there are time constraints, there are sometimes different distractions and all of this stuff. But if you do at least a little bit more than the previous day, something like start with one puzzle, right? If you can do two puzzles next day, do two puzzles. But if you're, let's say, going into the, let's say, fifth or sixth week of the, let's say, practice, if you can manage 20 or 30 puzzles, it's okay. But next day, if you can just make two puzzles, just solve two puzzles. Do not blame yourself. Just be happy and be satisfied that you do anything, because anything is better than nothing, right? And that's why it is the idea that may be something like promoted. And to make it a little bit close to our meeting. Let's make some of the questions that probably could be pretty interesting for our audience. What do you think about working with the coach or with the trainer, and is it something like a necessary component for the alus, or is it something like from time to time? How do you think about it? Is it something like necessary to be able to get into the high rating? Maybe start with let's say the 1400 rating, then ask for the coach. What's your point about this idea working with the coach?
Okay, first let me say as disclaimer that I'm also a coach. So I have at this moment I have like 6 or 7 students, which pretty much I work with regularly. So these students are in this range which you were talking about, 1100 to 1600, 1700 liches. So I do work as a coach, and I also work as a coach for kids. So in the elementary schools in which I have two daughters who go to this school. So I have a little school chess club. So I do once a week with the kids who are like 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. So I do with kids. I do this voluntarily, in the school, and I also do with adult improvers online via Zoom.
Yeah.
As a coach, so I can speak from that perspective, but also from the perspective of the improver. I can say that it's very beneficial if you have somebody who is stronger than you, who can discuss chess with you. So just chess and your games analysis, to give you advice, someone you can ask a question when you are stuck, what to do. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about which opening to choose. I'm not sure about this game. You analyze your game and you realize that at some point something went wrong, that you cannot quite grasp what it is, and the engine doesn't help.
Yeah.
The engine will show you blunder or some missed tactical opportunities, but sometimes you analyze the game with the engine, and it's just you just see that your position is getting worse and worse and worse and worse, and you don't understand why. And it's usually because your mentality is wrong. So you should be, for example, attacking and you are defending, or you should be playing on the center and you are playing on the queen side. So this kind of stuff the engine will not tell you. And so it's very beneficial to have a stronger player which you can ask something. So I personally I don't have a coach, but I do have one player from the club who is a stronger player than I am, and we talk about chess all the time. He lives here near me.
Sounds like advisor, right? If I can correctly understood, sound like advisor, right?
Yeah, I mean we are friends. We just talk about chess all the time. Not just that he's coaching me or something, but we discuss games, we discuss championships. When, for example, this world championship we commented this on the instant messaging live. We comment moves. We share experience regarding books. So even though he's much stronger than me, I can even give him some experience, some advice. Yeah. So it goes both ways. I can recommend him some good books, maybe some good research. When I come upon some good research which could be applied to his rating, he's like 2100 FIDE. So when I see something, I can help him as well. And sometimes he shows me his games. I mean I cannot help him much because he's much stronger, but sometimes I give him my insights. But for the most part, he's the one in whom when I'm stuck, I have someone to ask. So sometimes I play the game, I analyze the game, I don't understand, then I send him the game, or I just send him position. I said, look, I need help. What's wrong here? And then him being the stronger player, he immediately, I spent like an hour trying to figure this out, and he just says, oh, but you play this completely wrong. I mean, king side is your side of the board. What are you doing playing on the queen side here? And this
you
kind
recognize
of
it immediately, right?
Yeah. So just this simple insight helped suddenly I understand the position, which was completely a mystery just before this. So I would say it's a good thing to have a stronger player who can help you. To have a coach, if you can afford one, it's also a good thing because there is always someone you can ask. When you got stuck, you can get advice, and you can also get moral support. because most times when you're adult improver, it's very difficult to find someone you can share your
your passion.
either your happiness or your sadness. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad, and you need someone you can share this with, and to get some kind of feedback. So this is also the role of the coach, because coach is usually interested in your progress. So it's easier when you have someone you can interact with.
Yeah, definitely. And I would like to ask you, because there are another things that are super interesting to us, I mean, especially to our community, that you are a guy who shares all of this stuff at the YouTube, right? And you already shared some like 42 or 43 videos related to a guide to chess improvement, right? Because you have game analysis, all of this stuff. And a few hours ago, I just checked out, it was some like 42 or 43 videos. I am interested about all of the stuff in let's say a little bit expanded way. Are you going to let's say publish a book based on your experience, on your all of the stuff that you're analyzing, all of the search, all of the stuff in the future? And what is your role as an educator, if I can say that, promoter, the coach, especially having the medium of the YouTube? How could you see yourself in a 3, 5, maybe 10 years as a chess educator, chess promoter, chess coach? How can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I think in order to write the book, I would need to gain more experience. So this could be like 10 years plan maybe. So I need to get more experience with real tournaments, because of these COVID restrictions and everything. I only played 4 tournaments in my life, and this is just too little. So I have to gain tournament experience. And also, I think in order to have some credibility, I would have to show some results, some improvement in terms of FIDE rating. So I don't think it will be serious for me to write a book being 1500 FIDE rated. So I think I need to build up my rating and my experience in order to be able to do something serious as a book. So, like I said, my YouTube channel just started. This serious guide to adult chess improvement. This is when I started the YouTube channel. I just recorded like 10 videos in 2 days, just from this topic, because I just wanted to share all this out. I think this first video, maybe the quality, I wasn't experienced in video editing. I'm not sure I even had the microphone or anything. So
we're okay.
I just recording, yeah. So the quality increases as you go on, natural. So I wanted to put this out. So I would like my YouTube channel to be the address, the place to go for everyone who Googles adult chess improver, how to improve in chess as adult. That he can come to my channel and actually meet the real adult improver and learn from my experience. So also I started this coaching. So I never intended to become a chess coach. This happened
naturally,
accidentally, almost. Yeah. So I was invited to this Perpetual Chess podcast.
Ben Johnson.
Thanks to you. And yeah. So after this, one of the listeners he asked me would I like to coach him, and this idea never even came to my mind. And I was like, I'm not title player, I'm not a professional, I'm 1500 FIDE. So how can I coach? And then I was thinking about it. I was talking to my wife about it, and I think she was the one who told me, okay, but I mean, you're a physicist. You worked in the university for 10 years.
Yeah.
I gave private lessons in mathematics and physics for years. For more than 10 years, I had. I no longer do this, but I used to teach. So high school and university students, mathematics and physics 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Future engineers. I worked on several universities and so on. And so I have a huge teaching experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know how to teach. So this is my primary profession.
Yeah.
So and I also I know how to, at least I have the idea how to go forward in chess, and I do have some chess knowledge which I can share.
Yeah.
So this was my first student, and I said, okay, let's try it. And I had few sessions with him. and he was very satisfied. And I kind of discovered my talent, rediscovered my talent of teaching and of passing the knowledge.
Yeah.
So this is how I started my coaching stuff. And yeah, from time to time, some of my viewers they send me a message. I accept them, and so this is also maybe a thing I could work on in the future. So
Excellent.
to be the coach for the adult, especially for the adult improvers.
Yeah.
Although I do work with kids here locally, but yeah, adult improvers are my main target.
Okay, excellent. And maybe one more question, because in a few minutes we will be wrapping up. But I am pretty much, let's say, curious about the two offers you probably haven't mentioned so far. And these offers are pretty much well known as the adult chess improver, something like promoters, if I can say that. I mean, Dan Heisman, and the other guy is it is out of my memory for a while. Dan Heisman and Andrew Zoltis. I'm not sure if you read some of the books about them, and what do you think about their publications? Because they specialize, especially the range of topics, or maybe the range of ratings the same as you. What do you think about these offers, about their works, about their publications? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Okay, so Dan Heisman, I think, is probably the best coach for the adult improvers I know of, just watching YouTube and reading books. I think he has a very high and very good understanding about the problems which every chess adult improver face.
Yeah.
So he has a huge coaching experience, and it's interesting. He doesn't have international title. He's a national master. He's a very strong player. I don't want to say that he's not a strong player, but it's interesting that I don't know his history, but given that he didn't get international title, tells me that maybe he's a late starter, or probably at one moment, at one point in his career, he was facing the problems which typically adult improvers face.
By the way, I maybe interrupt for a second. There was the problems with the USCF rules, because he could be given the title, but there was some kind of problems with that, and he could not reach this title because there was some kind of, let's say, changes in the rules, just for the record.
Okay, okay. Because I see he's 2300, so he should be the master.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, he understands adult improvement so good that I somehow feel that he has to have some own experience. And his books are great. His videos are great. I mean, he has this YouTube channel, but I think even better is if you go to his website, danheisman.com. Then you can click on videos, and then he has this amateur games analysis and so on. His books I read, Improved Chess Thinker, and this was a great inspiration for my video, which I did about thinking algorithm. I read several others. I mostly read about his essays.
Yeah,
I don't know how
probably the book, the Guide to Chess Improvement, the Bible.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. This Snook, his
Nové Snook articles,
essays and so on. So this is what I was reading. I didn't read his books. I know he has books on tactics and some other stuff, but I watched lots of the videos from his website, and I recommend them. Andrew Soltis, I did read something. I read his book Pawn Structures.
Yeah, Pawn Structure Chess, the new edition. Few years ago published.
It's a good book. It's a little bit too advanced. I found it to be too advanced for me, but the game collections he gives after every chapter are great. I even made one video in which I play on the physical board. I think it's called How to Play Chess Properly. He has some very good examples. I saw his book. He has like 365 lessons.
Yes, to become a chess master. Yes.
Yeah. This is also excellent. I had a chance to have the book in my head, but I don't own it. I mean, my schedule is too much, so I cannot put it in the schedule. But this is something definitely I would like to go through. And also Yusupov books, for example.
Yes.
I can mention, not to forget. So I have these two of these. So
it is the series of 9 volumes, right?
Yes, Build Up Your Chess. I have two. So these are excellent books, but they require dedication, which I cannot afford at this moment. So every book has 24 lessons, and you know, they are especially for example, the first book is for 1500, 1600 rated. So maybe this should be for me. First three books are, and then other three books, and then other three books. So they require some dedication. You need, I think. I mean, many people said that that this is not correct, but my feeling is that you need to spend a chunk of time in which you can go through the lesson at once. So this is my impression of these books, how they should be read. And so this means that you need like 3 hours, for example,
a session
in one chunk, in one session, to do this. So you can, I mean, you can do like 2 lessons a week or something, but you need to do this chunk. And like I said before, I usually have chunks of 15 minutes, 20 minutes here and there. So this is why I went through the first Yusupov book and the first half of the second book, and then I stopped. But I think they're also good for, you know, for training for adults.
And one more question about the books, because it was at the end of my talk that you mentioned in one of the videos, if I'm not mistaken, that you for a while stop reading the books completely and focus over the one series of books by Polgar. I mean Laszlo Polgar, something like a middle game, end game, and probably the openings, something like the huge tomes. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah.
What was the reason for that? Why did you come into this conclusion and all of the stuff?
Okay, so I came to this conclusion after the 2 tournaments I played this summer, in which I realized that that I lack this problem solving part in my training. So like I was talking in physics, you have theory and then you have problems. So this problems part is the problem. So my chess knowledge is without any false modesty, I think it's huge.
Pretty high.
It's pretty high. It's much bigger than I need. Let's say like this.
With practical applications, right?
Yeah. So I have this huge knowledge, but I'm still losing games because of trivial blunders and so on. So I realized that that my knowledge is probably I will not need to add more knowledge in order to improve. So my current knowledge, I just need to, you know, to maintain it, maybe to build it up a little, but it's enough probably for
enough theory, start practice, right?
Yeah. So I need to start practice. So this is why I decided to go with Polgar books. I read lots of reviews. I read some essays from Laszlo Polgar, his theories, how to raise a genius, and so on. And so I thought that this will give me, you know, enough problems for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So you know, Laszlo Polgar has his these big books, which are so big that I cannot show them. Even.
Probably there are a few thousand positions, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. So this one is the hard. I have it.
Yes.
This one is the.
It is the classical 5334. A classic.
Yeah. So this one is the first, and I mean even this one is enough, I think, to go very high, because first of all you have mate in 1, then you have mate in 2, and mate in 2 you have compositions, and you have also the positions from the real games.
Yeah.
So you study patterns. You studying checkmate patterns by doing mate in 1 and mate in 2. Then you have mate in 3, in which you study calculation.
Yeah.
So you know all the old masters. If you ask Aleka in Capablanca how to practice calculation, they will all say you mate in 3. They didn't have, you know, live servers.
Yeah.
So, but mate in 3 is how you practice basic calculation. You have to calculate 3 moves deep, and in the most games, you know, they say 2.5 moves deep is enough to master level.
Yeah.
So mate in 3 you calculate. Then you have 600 miniatures. So from these miniatures you can this is basically the study of opening. So this is the only way
like
how
mini course of the openings, right?
Yeah, this is basically the opening course, because his theory is if you learn what not to do in the opening, this is enough. So you know what you have to do. You have to follow your opening principles, fight for the center, develop the pieces, castle soon, and so on. And you should not do what you should not do, the things people done in these 600 games.
Yeah.
So by going through these 600 games, you know what you shouldn't do to the opening. So this is how you learn openings. And then he ends up with end games. He has some 150 end games. and then he gives some. So you cover endgames as well, and then finally there are some combinations from the games of Polgar Sisters, in which you can practice, calculation, combinations,
deeper
and so
stuff,
on.
right?
Yeah. So I think this book basically has everything. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you diligently do this book, you can go very, very far. But I also bought because they are out of print. So these chess middle games, they're very similar. So many positions in the middle games, which are both tactical and positional. And then the third volume is end games. And I purchased these books because they are out of print, and I'm afraid they will not be maybe available always. And I found them rather cheap, so they're really big books.
Yeah.
But let me just
Big volumes, if I'm not mistaken, because I have one of such. I will just show you guys later. One of such book. It is something like a
So this is
a huge one. Yes, the same one.
This is the middle game.
Very impressive.
And this is the end game.
Yes, the same format. Yeah, very big one.
And I managed to find them for like $20 or something.
Oh, super cheap, super cheap.
Yeah.
And like how could you estimate how much time is needed to get to through all of these books from right now, right? How much time? For example, a year, 2 years, 3 years to go from the start, from the first book you just mentioned, the book on the shelf, up to all of the positions. How much time it would be needed? At the same time, would you make something like the repetition method, Della Maza style or woodpecker, or just once? What is your approach about this topic? I mean, the specific books.
So this is a far too long time span to be able to predict. But my estimation is 2 years.
2 years.
Book. So I said that I want to go through all 3 books in 7 years. So
wow, really impressive.
2 books, 2 years a book. This totals in 6 years, and let's give 1 year extra.
Yeah.
So I would say 7 years. So if you ask me, would I do it again after 7 years? I cannot tell.
Yeah.
But I think the whole point of this is, I mean, this is not the book you have to read it, and now you have read it, and now you go on. It's a training device. So, like for example, if you're a basketball player, then you just have to take a ball and shoot to the hoop every day, and
few thousand shots a year at least.
So you have to do it every day for half an hour or an hour, and this is just what you do. So I think the chess is the same. So you need to have a training device, and you have to do this. So this is just a kind of training in problem solving in chess.
And
so
in practical manner, right?
So you take the position, you put it on the board, you solve it, you write down the solution. So it doesn't matter if you read it in 1 year or 5 years. It matters that you have training plans, and you train or daily or weekly basis. As long as you play chess, you need to train. So this is
excellent. Yes, excellent. And now, as we just let's say answered all of the questions, or maybe just put something like scrub the surface, right? Because although it's improvement, probably we can talk for hours, probably for a week, if there would be, let's say, that much opportunity. What are the final conclusions, if I may ask you about some like maybe recommendations, maybe something like conclusions and recommendations from your side up to the audience, that the people who are some like 30 years or older, what should they do, or maybe what should they avoid in something like a guide? What would you recommend?
Okay, so first I would recommend to go to my channel and to see my adult improvement guide for adult improvers. I mean, this is the reason why I started the YouTube channel in the first place, so that people can find all the advice at one place. This will be my first advice, and some of the general advice is to like I said, spend quality time doing chess if you want to improve. Don't play too much bullet, too much blitz. It's just a distraction. So try to play longer games. If you can join the Lichess 45 League or something similar, just to have a habit to have one long game a week, it's a great thing to do. Always analyze your game. So don't let this valuable lesson from playing the game, especially if you lost. It's very difficult. It's psychologically difficult to go through over your own mistakes and to relive the trauma once again. But definitely this is what you should do. So play longer games. expose yourself to good quality chess content. Do tactics. Tactics is extremely important. So you have to do tactics training. And maybe the last advice, if you can, if you are in possibility, join a chess club, really real physical chess club, because playing chess chess is the board game. It's an ancient game, and playing chess on the with the real opponent on the real board with real pieces, moving the pieces with your hand, hitting the clock with your hand. It's a
different
really
experience.
different. Yeah, it's a completely different experience than playing online chess, especially if you can go to the tournament, to open tournament. I mean, it's a completely different holistic chess experience in which there is adrenaline, there is competition, there is exhaustion, there is everything you have in any other sport. So even though you are maybe 50 or 60, you can enjoy the real sports event, and you can be actor. Maybe you cannot play basketball, but you can really experience this competition and the sportsmanship of the chess game if you play over the board tournament, and this will give you motive. So when you go to over the board tournament, and I mean, everybody I know after the event on their first over the board tournament, after this, their motivation just skyrocketed because they just couldn't wait to play again. Yeah, and they couldn't wait to go to the next tournament, and they feel that they need to do something between these two tournaments to play better, and then this is where all the motivation comes from.
Yeah, okay, excellent. And now we have just crossed 1 hour 45 minutes. It was the estimation that we will be actually doing close to 2 hours, and I guess all of the most interesting questions were asked, and I want to thank you very much for being with us, for answering all of these questions, and sharing a lot of pieces of advice, a lot of knowledge, and all of experience. And in the meantime, I want to thank you very much in the behalf of our community, I mean general chess community, because you share a lot of great pieces of advice at your channel. And after the conversation will be over, after the meeting over, I will just share all of the links to the community, and they will probably start watching your YouTube channel. And whenever you, let's say, have something important to put on your channel, I guess all of the people who will be, let's say, recommending your channel will be, let's say, have the opportunity to listen. And I hope if somebody will reach some like a pretty significant level, they'll just reach to you and say, Luca, it was your fault, right?
Okay, yeah.
And it would be fantastic.
I'll be happy to be blamed from this.
Yeah, and that's why I am super happy about it, because I recognize your channel and all of the potential. And to be honest, I was suspicious at first because it was too good to be shared by non-title player, and that's why I know it's super high quality, and I'll be promoting it as well. Okay, my friend.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you very much for being with us. Take care, and thank all of the best in chess and in life. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.